friends. It's great to have you there with us once again, participating in another live of Brazilian cattle. Now, we have another topic that is really important and really innovative for you to receive more information, which is exactly about equipments that aid in the process of cattle raising as a whole. After all, the more technology we have, the more efficiency we have as well in what we produce. And to bring you all of this information and count and tell you all of these equipments that we have to help you anywhere in the world besides Brazil, we're going to talk to people from Casale Equipments. This live is going to be really interesting, and to talk to you about this, I'm going to invite remotely Mário Casales Neto, the CEO of Casales Equipments. Hello, welcome.
Hi, AC. Good morning. How are you doing? I'm good. And you?
It's our pleasure to receive you here, not only in Expo Genetics, but also integrating the project Brazilian Cattle and having the opportunity of taking this work of excellence that you developed for such a long time. Mario, you have a technical team here present with us as well, right? So I would like to invite Diogo Fagolin, the sales expert and supervisor, and Diego Castro, the analyst of application of products. Welcome, please sit down. How are you? Welcome to the Zebu house.
Thank you very much.
But for us to start this live today, nothing better than Celso's words. Okay, so first of all, I would like for the opening words, Mr. Celso Casares, the president of the council, to give a warm welcome for you here in Brazil and all the world. Thank you. Hello, Celso.
Hi, AC. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to welcome you all and that are participating of the Expo Genetic and also the events of Brazilian cattle. Casale is a company that it was founded in 1964, and I wanted to speak briefly and to say a history of what happened to us over the past few years, of which I was part of. In 1978, I graduated in mechanical engineering at the Federal University of Uberlândia, and I came back to the city of São Carlos, where Casale is, and I started to work as partner of the business. And it already existed for 15 years. And in these years, we have been developing technologies that aim to meet future needs of cattle breeding in Latin America. In 1984, we were the first company of mixing nutrition for breeders, and it only existed in Europe and Latin America, in the United States up to that point. And it was a suggestion of the president of Embrapa, Brazilian company of agricultural research, and back then the president, Dizil, and he said that the future of cattle breeding and especially intensive cattle breeding, depending a lot on this kind of product that Brazil would need to master this technology. So we accepted the challenge, and since then we've been developing and we have been manufacturing a lot of machines. We lead the sector here in Brazil, not just In terms of production line, we can manage to provide we can service any size of producer or breeder and any volume, and we have many different products in our portfolio. We also manufacture other products that are connected to intensive cattle breeding, and this is going to be mentioned later. So we always try to understand the need of the breeder, the demands, and we've been developing our products that particularly for the conditions of work of Brazil and Latin America and countries that are similar to us. And we do have a product, we wanted to have a product that was appropriate for the fattening of cows and cattle and production of milk in confined cattle. And in 2000, the year 2000, we established a partnership with an American company, Omix, and they had asked a specific technology of mixers of 3 parts that we didn't have back then. And in exchange, they offered the technology of the mixing system with rotor, which was very interesting because it was useful for both companies and both markets. And we brought here the technology of the system of mixing with rotor, and our brand is Rotor Mix. And it's been 22 years manufacturing a product that is the market leader in the system of beef cattle confined. And this product has been evolving very much over the years to the point that we are, in terms of technology, we are ahead and with the American equivalent American product, the one that we had access to, and the designs as well. Nowadays, we make a machine that is much more efficient, much more reliable than because the market demands this. The Brazilian market is it's a huge challenge for manufacturers of agricultural machines, especially in cattle breeding. And recently, we launched there in AgriShow a machine that is revolutionary, which is the evolution of the system of study, which is Rotor Mix, and the machine was developed originally in of 27 size for the truck, and it's a technology that is very advanced. It has onboard computer, and it controls a lot of functions, and that's going to be explained further. But summing it up, it's a technology that provides a lot more security for the breeder of cattle in confinement because it avoids for the machine to break and stop, and especially the part of maintenance. It controls and it allows a control that is absolute by the maintaining to avoid breaking it down and to stop. And after that, we're going to explain further. But what we mean by that is even though we have a model that has this technology that we call Tech Pure, in the future we're going to have other models that are smaller as well. But what's important to know is that this knowledge allowed us to develop this product of very high technology for the sector, also allows us to produce machines and manufacture machines of all models the best way possible with the best quality possible and the best technology with the highest security, operational security, and that encourages us every day to continue as a company, as an innovative company. Casale has a technology committee and innovation of high level with participation of members of research, of international renowned, and that helps us a lot to continue to our mission to develop technology and innovation for sustainable cattle breeding. So, with that, I would like to thank my participation and wish you all to enjoy the interaction, to know a little more about what we do, how we can help the breeder in the mission of cattle breeding and fattening of cattle and the milk production as well. Thank you very much. I wish you all a good event and good participations through Brazilian Cattle. And we are available here at Casale to all of you, not just concerning providing equipment, but also to exchange ideas on technologies that are applicable to the sector of cattle breeding. Here in São Carlos, we have a factory, a model farm, and where we put all our technology to work, and people can see and observe and get to know this, what we're doing. And if you want to see our factory, it'll be a pleasure to welcome you here. A big hug to all of you. Thank you very much for your attention.
See what we're doing. And if you want to get to know our factory, it's going to be a pleasure to see you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the attention. Thank you so much, Mr. Celso. Thank you so much for sharing this information. So you can see how a company is dedicated to producing and aiding, and how this comes from a long time. So for us to continue,
Thank you, AC. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Celso Casale, my father, the leader of our company and the president of the board, for opening this video to us. He won't be with us anymore now, but we are going to continue with Edmilson and Diogo. Now, the idea is to chat with the cattle breeders and to talk how we can contribute with technology in machines, focus mainly in machines so that he can have a more sustainable operation. When we talk about sustainable, we mean social, economic, and environmentally sustainable. This tripod is extremely important for the breeder to continue and feed the world. Casale's purpose is to innovate and feed lives in a sustainable manner, and that's for why we get up every day and we come and work, help Brazil to feed the world and feed Brazil and other countries that we're exporting to. We want to export more and more, and we want to be uh, with other present abroad, and that's why we want to be together with you with Brazilian cattle in Expo Genetics to talking to cattle breeders from abroad and potential importers that would like to work with our brand. We're selecting importers from many different countries, and if you're interested, get in touch with us. We are going to give you our contact. Casale in Brazil is what you see in the social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can send us a message there. You'll be promptly answered, and we can talk about it. So starting here our chat, I'd like to first talk to Edmilson and Diogo to introduce themselves, to say what they do in Casale for what we start first. First, Edmilson, please. Hi, everyone. My name is Edmilson. I am the analyst of product application in Casale Equipment, and it's a pleasure to be here in Expo Genetics. and to have this opportunity to bring some knowledge to our friends cattle breeders. It's a pleasure to be here at this event. My name is Diogo, and I am the sales supervisor in the Casale equipment. And it's a pleasure to talk about something that we live with in our daily lives, and it's something that we like to do. Cool, welcome. So Edmilson works in the engineering and in the engineering of application, which is a very important function for us to help cattle breeders to have a larger success with our products, to help use the best form possible the product that he has at hand, and to get the most out of it. And he works creating handbooks for the products of Casale, time of mixing, how to use better the mixer of feed, animal feed. And Edmilson is an agronomer and he has doctorate in zootechnic, and he's the right guy for this. That's helping a lot of people with his work. And Diogo is our commercial supervisor. We have three commercial supervisors in Brazil that meet foreign markets, the demands of foreign markets, and also Diogo is someone who has been with us for a long time, and he's a specialist in the choice of products. He helps our commercial consultants. We have a team there, and to help the client to make the best decision to choose the best product for their operation, starting with the breeding and the fattening and going to pasture or in confinement or semi-confinement. And we do have products to meet to service them. And Diogo with the commercial team helps in this, and he helps the operation for our client to make the best decision possible. Because Casale has a product line that with all kinds of mixers and all sizes, so regardless of your need, breeder, we will help you find the best solution. And since we have the whole line, we don't need to force or push a sale of a specific product because we offer this whole range for you to decide what the best option is for you. So I'd like to talk about Takibu. So Diogo, can you, the rotor mix was mentioned too. So you're going to see some pictures here of the machine, a video as well, in which you'll be able to understand it's a machine that is used for confined areas, and we had a version of 27 cubic meters, and now we have an evolution, and I'd like Diogo to explain it a little bit more. Well, talking about Tech Bull, it is a product in which we see a range and we can aggregate some technology. And as has been mentioned, it has an onboard computer, which is a big differential in the equipment. It enables you to have settings with just with the operator directly. The machine is going to be working with maintenance. It's going to say, the equipment needs to stop to be maintained. It starts working as a manager of the daily operation. If you need to stop to put some liquid, and so the equipment has this purpose where you can see, you can do something before it breaks down or before there is an error, so it enables you the machine to have more availability to be used in the activity. Because a machine that is stopped, it costs money, and a bull that doesn't have feed, it costs even more. So the machine, if it wants to provide more security and right, Diego, yes, this equipment was thought out to give more available time, and it's going to be more has more longevity, and it will it will help us make the maintaining that is obligatory with to lubricate all the parts having or needing a person that would do this, because there might be an lack of a problem in operation and you forget the lubrication of these parts. So this equipment avoids human error, and it's going to tell you about the maintaining or the exchange of the oil and the liquid that has to be filled out, besides other temperature controls. This is an equipment that is completely maintained, and you have cameras and the system of mixture without at the back part. And we can also follow the discharge with the onboard system. This equipment will give you more operational security. That is, the idea is for this equipment to work for a longer period of time, for more years, and without stopping so often, which are the non-scheduled stops, maybe with a breaking down or something related to it. Besides the security system in a situation of excess of load that will harm not only the equipment but also the quality of the mix. So it will wear off the equipment, and the quality of the mix of the animal feed will end up losing, making you lose in productivity. So this equipment was made to avoid human error. And what I would like to highlight here in this machine, and you've already mentioned, but I just like to complement here, is that the machine is made to increase the availability of the machine, right? So it's not still, it's working. And how does it do it? There are sensors within the equipment, rotation sensors, temperature sensors, oil pressure sensors. And with this control, the sensors send the information to the computer, and the computer realizes whether the levels are appropriate or not for the machine to work. And then it stops the machine before it breaks. So what happens in a conventional machine? Since you don't have this online information, the machine will be pushed all the way to the breakage point, and it might break any parts because you might have filled it too much or something fell into it. So this machine realizes through sensors whether there is something wrong, and before it breaks down, it stops. And what's most interesting is that if it stopped because we forced the equipment too much, you can unload it in an isolated manner with the rotors and the other parts working separately. So you can invert the rotation to we can unload the equipment without putting people inside with shovels and other tools. It's a machine that is a new, it's a novelty in the mixing of animal feed. And because it is extremely innovative, it's unique in the world, and that's what Casale does. We wanted to show the DNA of Casale to innovate and feed lives in a sustainable manner. That's our purpose. So I'd like to talk about the systems that we have, the types of machines that we have to offer, and the rotor machine of rotor mix, and we also have other types of equipment for beef cattle or milk, and depending on the type of the fiber that is used, we recommend a specific type of mixer. And Casale has the largest range of mixers in the world. I'd like Diogo to talk about the types of equipments that we have for mixing. Well, currently, as Mario mentioned, we have all versions, all models, and we're going to start talking about total mix. We have the three horizontal part that work with short fiber and that can create hay too. We have the conventional version and the self-loading version. And the self-loading, and we can use all we can service all small breeders and big breeders also, and always using an appropriate mix. Our part produces a lot without any waste, while creating a lot more efficiency. Our product also innovates in terms of weighing system in which in every model we have a software to use we can adapt to the software that the breeder is using. Now we have VertMix, which is a mixing system in the vertical manner. And we also have models. There are traction with conventions and with the one with the self-loading system. We have many different sizes, and there are different options of indicators that can connect to any management software that the breeder is using. And now going into the rotor, we've already mentioned the Tech Bowl, which is an innovative system. Concerning the rotors, we have uh, sizes of that are similar to trucks, and we also have the traction versions as well to meet the needs of confined areas and with QTS kit USC for the supplementation of pasture. These versions are directed for the public that works with semi-confinement supplementation to pasture, and we have a product with cargo cells that are special. The rotated part is adjusted for the Brazilian conditions, and we can deliver with extensible to work outside these areas and everything that the semi-confinement needs, which is a product that has the mold of the Brazilian DNA. As Diogo has mentioned, he's already mentioned the three main systems of mixing which are used in the world, which are the ones that we also use and we offer in the market. And within these systems, we have the one with three parts and three threads. And always thinking about evolution within the TMX system, we also have the TMX SC, which is a launch now that is connected to the semi-confinement. And there is a unloading through Mangote and Chupin, and you have more control and more precision with distance and the height where you're going to be able to unload these ingredients. So you can meet a larger demand of feeding troughs. And it was also thought for semi-confinement, thinking about concentrate. It uses more grains, and it can also use short fiber because it has the stata optional and especially due to the nutrition, right, and the diet and the ingredients that are used in this type of nutrition. It has the stainless steel trunk, and it is a very good equipment. In the vertical line, we also have the second system with the vertical thread. We've been working with this system, and we are looking at the future and the needs of our clients here. One of the things that we wanted to see it was the weighing and the self-loading too. So we have the vertical with the self-loading system, and it is made in a way that it isolates the weighing scale, and we have a higher precision during the loading and the weighing as a whole. Therefore, we can load and unload this equipment without any variation in the weighing. So there is no difference. Exactly, that's very important. So we have more precision during the loading of the ingredients, and that's gonna have a more accurate diet, then it's closer that it is closer to what was planned. It's important to highlight that the vertical loading, we have the 2 cubic meters that is smaller for cattle breeders with a smaller group of animals for fattening and for breeding too and for milk, and it's self-loading. And the important part about it is that besides facilitating the operation, you can compact the silo and you can leave the air with so the air doesn't go through the silo, because when you use a specific another one machine and you start getting the silo, It's going to start with to make micro fissures, and goes into it, and you lose quality. And with this machine, you can guarantee this protective wall, and we have the vertical of 2, 5, and 7 cubic meters. And we also have the total mix of self-loading since 2.5 up to 12 cubic meters. All right, Nilsson. Yes, and the vertical itself, thinking about the largest breeders, we have 160 that is a launch that has unloading through any side. It's bilateral. You can unload from one side or the other to ease this management depending on the structure of the confinement. And it has two parts that, and it has vertical actually, vertical parts that make the system to be mixed in a homogeneous way to use hay ball they can to come up with hay balls, and you can use this material to work with a lot of volume with longer fibers. So the vertical parts equipments are used to work with long fibers, so you can use hay balls, and you can use within the equipment. And also we work with silage, and with long fibers we can also make silage of um, of corn and other also green grass. The vertical is a little shorter, so you can make a mix that is quicker than the regular one, and we can also have the 20 cubic meters that is fraction or in set up in a truck. So it was excellent. We could give an overview of the machines that we have, since the ones for confinement, semi-confinement, machines that are ready for pasture. More and more animals. We have animals in the trough and in the confinement. Thanks to the technologies and the possibility to have machinery to bring this animal feed. And since 2000, we have 14 feeders now, and feeders are the distributors of animal feed. They just distribute. They don't mix. We have the 2 cubic meter feeder that is a small machine of 2 cubic meters, and you can put mineral salt to distribute it, and it's the size that fits a baguette of animal feed or mineral salt, and it's very easily operated and also has the electronic scale. It's important to highlight that all our machines come with this electronic scale. It's really important because if you do not do the mix with what you're going to put within the feeder or the mixer or feed, you won't have the guarantee that the animals will eat exactly the same thing. So it's extremely important for the mixer to have a scale. Never buy a mixer without a scale. And if the machine doesn't have a scale, it's not a total mixer, because it's important to guarantee the routine within a confinement and milk operation or a breeding operation. And I'd like to ask Edmilson to talk about the importance of routine and the animal feed mixer in an operation of cow-calf operation. The importance is very important of the routine, because it's always important to provide the same feed in the same time, at the same time, and the same type of feed. And you follow a pattern of standardization of diet, and that interferes directly in the environment of the animal and consequently with the results. So every time that you have an equipment and I'm working with it and it stops and there is a problem, so you don't feel safe with that equipment, that will affect the performance of the animals. So there'll be consumption that will go up and down, and you won't be able to establish a standard, and the final result is for us to have harms. And routine is extremely important. In this sense, we usually say that the client needs a backup equipment, thinking about the maintenance of this routine, keeping this routine. Because if there is an equipment and he will have to make preventive maintenance, and he cannot stop using the equipment, but he should have a backup. It has to be used 2 or 3 times a week to make sure that it is working properly, so that when you need it, it doesn't have a problem as well. So we need an equipment that is going to work, which is the official one, and the backup in if there is any need. But this backup has to be used so we can make sure that it's working properly. That it's important point to keep the routine in dealing with the animals, and not to influence the trough, and also because when there is this oscillation, you'll end up the prolonging the confinement, because you'll need more days than to have the expected result. So with the cost of operation today, the inputs are very expensive, more and more processed input, and to have a better absorption. And if you cannot lose time or miss days of work, the more efficient and assertive, the better your operation and the better your confinement. And it's interesting for us to mention the importance of the mixer, because we're talking about the mixer, but we haven't explained very well the concept of the mixer. Some breeders might not know it very well. So we understood in 1984, at the request of Embrapa, that we should manufacture a animal feed mixer due to the microbiota and bacteria that are present in inside of the animal. They have to be constant. There can be no oscillation or variation. So to guarantee that the food that is there should be used the best way possible by the animal. And that is only possible if you can guarantee every day for animals to eat the same thing. And in order to do that, the mix has to be complete with a standard animal feed, with the quantity that is standardized, and the weight and the mix from the first animal that is in the trough all the way to the last one has to be the same one. So that's why we perform quality analysis with stages, and which are those SIFs. And we do this periodically, and these tests in pilot lots. We always check whether our machine is providing the best quality possible, because that is essential. It's no use to manufacture a machine that is going to solve only an operational part, but there will be other problems, and even including the performance and the health of these animals. So the quality of the mix is essential, and Casale is a specialist in this. Talking about specialty, I'd like to ask Diogo to tell us a bit, tell us how the specialists in mixing the feed, we help us to make the client to make the best decision when we go to the property in terms of logistics. What is the conclusion that we reach in terms of the size of the equipment? How do we do that, Diogo? Well, guys, when we receive a project and when the client has a specific demand, we analyze many different factors to make the decision with the client and to present solutions. We have to remember that mixer is at the heart of the activity. Everything that you plan all the way to get this, you bought the best input and corn and soy. At the time that you have to make the mix, you have to know what's best. So we assess many points: distance, logistic, how many animals there are, the amount of lots that will be used. And we usually say that it's important to consider the consumption of fuel of the machine and the types of diet considering this. And there is not a specific model. Every property has a specific demand and a solution that is different. So using this and assessing this with the know-how that the company has, and if there is any question, everybody will try to come up with a solution with the client to present it to it. And we show what's going to be the most efficient solution for presented by Casale. It's like Diogo mentioned it, there is no solution, one solution fits all. Every reality that's why we have many different types of mixers to meet the demand of the client with the types of diet and the ingredients that they use. When we go to the property and we go to assess the real need, because sometimes the client thinks he needs something and in reality it's different from what he actually needs. So our consultant, when he goes to the farm and he understands the real reality, the need of the client, it's an extremely important factor in defining the correct equipment that is going to be chosen. Something that I like to remember is that when defining the size of the machine, he has to make a long-term math. And a machine is going to last for 15 years, and if it's well maintained, it can last for a long time. We see machines that have been manufactured in '84 using the first model. We can put it here in the screen. The first model that we manufactured, a red and yellow machine. We still see these machines operating 37 years working. So it depends a lot on the type of maintenance that is made and what is made in the machine. So when you make a decision, it's important that the long term, what the machine is going to help you with in terms of operational cost, whether fuel and work and the maintenance as well. For example, you're going to buy a machine and you think, you know what, I'm going to save on the machine, and you start the whole day with a person operating with the tractor and working with the machine 8 hours a day. So there will be more maintenance, and you're going to use diesel, and you have to pay for the operator as well. So we usually say maybe it's better for you to have a larger machine that will work fewer hours. You're not going to use so much diesel, fewer hours of the operator. So we have to look at it when we make a decision in choosing the machine, because very often the person is doing the math in concerning of considering the investment, but it forgets this part in the long term. But you cannot get a machine that is too large and at a point that it will not have the correct mixture. So in a machine that has those three parts, you have to guarantee that it makes the whole movement to correct the feed completely. The rotor, the same thing. It's important to get to the top part. So the vertical is the one that is able to use with lower or smaller levels. It doesn't have to be so full because it works from bottom to top. You can work even with larger machines. So we always ask the client to make this decision to decide the machine that he's going to buy. Besides the feed mixers, we also have the feeders. We have distributors of manure, and you can see here the distributors of manure. They're made with galvanization to fire to guarantee the longevity of this machine, since it's working with manure and other ingredients that are very aggressive to the material. So it's much more stronger. It's different from the superficial galvanization. So it fuses the components. Our feeder also has this type of galvanization of 4.5 or 7.5, and the small one of 2 cubic meters. It is feedered with a plastic that is molded that guarantees also the longevity of the equipment. And we also have the collectors of forage. We have CRC that makes the silage of grass, and we ask you to come into our website to know our portfolio at www.casale.com.br. Please go to our social media, Casale Brazil. You can have a lot of YouTube videos to follow us. You can please subscribe on Instagram as well, Casale Brazil, Facebook, all of them, Casale Brazil. We invite you all to follow us. And now we here want to show you our contact of WhatsApp, which is the number of our PABX. It'll be on the screen here now, which is 5516-3411-5000. That number, you can get in touch with us on WhatsApp. It's a WhatsApp business. Even being a a cell phone number, it works on WhatsApp, and you can call it to our PABX, and you can talk to us on our social media areas. I'd like to thank hugely because we're getting close to the end, and I'd like to thank EC and the team of Expo Genetics. It was a pleasure to be here once again here in Brazil cattle program. I'd like to thank Diogo Edmilson that were also present in the studio in Uberaba to be with you. So we'd like to thank you all, and we invite you all to come here in São Carlos, to visit our company, to see our operation of our model farm, Fazenda Integração, and to look at the machines working. It'll be a pleasure to welcome you here in São Carlos, in São Paulo State. So I thank you all, Diogo Edmilson, thank you, Isi, and a big hug to all of you.
Mario, thank you so much immensely. Your participation was wonderful, sharing with us all of this information, these technologies that aid us so much, the producers, the breeders in the field, and Brazil and anywhere in the world. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, all of the staff from Casale, for trusting in the Brazilian cattle work and always participating in our activities. I wish you all a lot of success, not only in Expo Genetics, but all throughout the other years. Thank you so much for your participation here in another live of the Brazilian cattle. Remain here with us. It's always good to have you here with us, close to us, even though you are on the other side of the world. Receive our hugs, and we'll see each other soon. Bye bye.